Senior military officials are refusing Donald Trump's orders. Through the overnight hours, Donald Trump flooded Truth Social with posts. His frustration was obvious. Pentagon officials rejected orders they consider illegal. He wanted expanded military action. They said no. Trump built his administration on loyalty. Put the right people in every position, and they'll do what you ask. That approach worked in some agencies. It's failing at the Department of Defense. The generals aren't complying. Trump needs these international conflicts: Venezuela, Cuba, Greenland. He needs Americans looking outward. The Epstein file deadline passed almost 4 weeks ago. Those documents were supposed to be released. The story keeps getting buried. Trump benefits from that. If you're finding value in this coverage, hit the like button. And if you haven't subscribed to the Mac Media yet, now's a good time. We're working toward 50,000 subscribers. Your support makes this work possible. Senator Chris Murphy explained what Trump is proposing with Greenland. The implications are serious.
What you are essentially talking about here is the United States going to war with NATO. The United States going to war with Europe. I kind of can't believe that I'm going to talk to you about the consequences of invading Greenland, but I am, because you have to take Trump seriously now. Nobody thought that we were going to be invading Venezuela or running their country a few months ago, and now we are. So he says he wants Greenland. He says he's keeping the military option on the table. So let's just talk about what that means. Here's what you need to know. It's sort of a basic thing. Greenland is a part of Denmark. Denmark is a NATO country. And the NATO treaty says that if any member is attacked, then all the other members have to come to their defense. So what you are essentially talking about here is the United States going to war with NATO. The United States going to war with Europe. You're talking about the US and France being at war with each other over Greenland. We can't sort of sugarcoat this. Like, that is what we're talking about here. Now, every NATO country would have to make a decision whether they were going to rush troops to Greenland to fight America. Some maybe wouldn't, some might. Who in the United States of America wants a war between the United States and Europe over Greenland? And Donald Trump, he just sees the world in terms of real estate, right? He's not trying to fix any of your problems. He just wants a ballroom. He wants a big land mass that he probably thinks is a lot bigger than it actually is because he looks at the wrong map projection. But you're talking about war between the United States and Europe. And so it's kind of insane that we have to explain this to him and to the American public. But understand that that's where we're at right now. The President of the United States entertaining an attempt to take Greenland by military force, which, by definition, might end up putting the United States in a shooting war with France.
Trump's pattern stays consistent across both terms. Antagonize allies, embrace adversaries. That defined his first presidency. It's defining his second. Two motivations drive most of his actions: distraction from failure, personal enrichment at public expense. He wants your attention elsewhere while he profits. Right now, he's running both playbooks simultaneously. Either he invades Greenland at enormous cost, or he tries purchasing it for billions of taxpayer dollars. Neither option is realistic. Both waste resources. Senator Murphy explained how reckless this spending would be, while actual crises get ignored.
Query whether we would be at war with Europe, with England, with France. But let's also talk about what's at stake here. The president is spending every single day thinking about invading Greenland, managing the Venezuelan economy, building a ballroom. He is not thinking about the American people at all. This month, Premiums, health insurance premiums on 22 million Americans are going up, doubling in some cases. Kids aren't able to eat 3 meals because the Trump administration has slashed food assistance. And so every single day, the president is thinking about Greenland, his ballroom, Venezuela. He is spending no time thinking about the actual crises that are being visited on American families. This is a president who is distracted by things that don't matter to the American people at a moment where the American people are in crisis. That is the underlying reality of a White House that has become out of control.
Trump made economic promises during the campaign. Lower prices, better jobs, financial relief. His entire economic plan revolved around tariffs. He called them liquid gold, his favorite solution. He repeated it constantly. That's how Trump communicates. Find a phrase, lock onto it, never stop saying it. Now he's doing the same thing with Greenland. We need Greenland, must have Greenland. Look how big it is on the map. Maybe we'll call it Trumpland. He's fixated on this. Senior military officials aren't cooperating. That's the reason his Truth Social feed looks unhinged. The UK Daily Mail published a report over the weekend. Trump, emboldened by recent Venezuela operations, ordered Special Forces commanders to draft invasion plans for Greenland. He specifically tasked the Joint Special Operations Command. The Joint Chiefs of Staff are resisting. They believe the operation would violate domestic law and international treaties. It lacks congressional support. According to an unnamed diplomatic source quoted in the Mail, the generals think the plan is both crazy and illegal. They're trying to redirect Trump toward other military operations instead. One source described it as managing a 5-year-old. NATO allies are rejecting this proposal. We got confirmation of these reports last night. Trump issued the order to Special Forces Command. Senior military leadership is refusing to comply. Trump isn't limiting himself to Greenland. His appetite for military intervention appears unlimited. He posted this statement on Truth Social. Cuba lived for many years on large amounts of oil and money from Venezuela. In return, Cuba provided security services for the last 2 Venezuelan dictators, but not anymore. Most of those Cubans are dead from the last week's USA attacks. And Venezuela doesn't need protection anymore from the thugs and extortionists who held them hostage for so many years. Venezuela now has the United States of America, the most powerful military in the world by far, to protect them. And protect them we will. There will be no more oil or money going to Cuba. 0. I strongly suggest they make a deal before it is too late. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Trump posted other content as well. A black and white photo of himself on the White House roof with the caption, "Soon." Then he reshared an image from a supporter showing him in Cuba with a cigar. The supporter seemed excited about a potential Cuba invasion. That's where his focus is. This is the person who promised to reduce your costs, make your life easier, release the Epstein files. That last promise needs more attention. There's been so much happening that the Epstein story keeps disappearing from coverage. I want to refocus on it. Trump posts photos of himself at all hours, early morning, late night, cigar in his mouth, playing pretend leader of Cuba. The connection to Marco Rubio seems obvious. I can't determine if this is Trump's authoritarian fantasy or if he genuinely believes this helps him economically. Does he see this as power consolidation, or does he think his base wants economic justifications for these invasions? This is about Republican support. Trump sees the polling. His disapproval is climbing among his own voters. Republicans in Congress are voting for war powers resolutions against him. They're voting to preserve the ACA. His grip on the party is loosening. Foreign aggression might be his answer to winning them back. But that doesn't explain the price tag. Spending billions acquiring Greenland makes no economic sense. Nothing Trump proposes has internal logic unless you view it through one lens: distraction. Not every Trump action deserves that label. If he actually bought Greenland, we'd need serious policy discussion, the waste of resources, the geopolitical consequences. That would require analysis beyond just calling it a distraction tactic. His posting about it, though, pure distraction. If he went through with an invasion, that would be reckless. He doesn't want Epstein coverage. The deadline passed almost 4 weeks ago. Pam Bondi continues obstructing the investigation. She's blocking these file releases. Congress mandated this disclosure. Trump signed the legislation. They're still refusing. They can try blocking the files. What they can't block are the lawmakers demanding answers. Robert Garcia, Rashida Tlaib, Thomas Massie, even Marjorie Taylor Greene, Senate Democrats like Sheldon Whitehouse are tracking the money trail. He gave an update on Lawrence O'Donnell's show.
Well, they've produced a little over 12,000 documents out of over 2 million documents that they say they still need to review and redact. So, they've been at this in theory for over a year. They came into office promising full disclosure of the Epstein files and that thousands of FBI agents were working on this. So the idea that they had to start from zero and could only get 12,000 documents out once they knew that this law was going to be passed and violated the terms of the law, violated even the report requirement for a report 15 days after the production date, suggests something really went wrong there. And the Inspector General is the person best positioned in the Department of Justice to take a look into whether this was incompetence, whether this was deliberate, whether this was misbehavior. What on earth happened to take this top priority of FBI Director Patel and this top priority of Attorney General Bondi and this top priority of President Trump and not be ready when the day came to actually release the documents? So we've asked the Inspector General to take a look into it. As you pointed out, this is a bipartisan request, and it includes the chairman of the Judiciary Committee, Senator Dick Durbin. So I think we have a good chance of getting some attention to it.
Over in the House, the idea of a subpoena for Les Wexner, the billionaire who supported Jeffrey Epstein for many, many years financially, for reasons no one could quite understand why he needed anything from Jeffrey Epstein that was worth paying for. That kind of testimony that no one has obtained from someone like that can really be a breakthrough in this investigation.
Yes. And if the Trump administration had been the least bit serious about getting to the bottom of the Epstein scandal, this is the kind of thing that the Department of Justice and the FBI could have been looking into. The tell here is that over a year later, it took Democratic pressure in the House from the minority to get a subpoena.
Following the money matters now. Trump, Bondi, and Kash Patel will keep obstructing. Our job is tracking down everyone in Epstein's orbit. The people who tried whitewashing his crimes. That includes Steve Bannon. He maintains close ties to Trump. His interest in rehabilitating Epstein's image was notable. Their friendship was documented. We need coverage of all of it. I'm committed to keeping this story alive on the show. If that's coverage you want to support, subscribe to the Mac Media. We're working toward 50,000 subscribers. Every subscription helps. Leave a like on this video if you made it to the end.